you, Hector. I appreciate you having me. I was looking forward to tonight. Dana, hello again. We met a few years ago in New Mexico during my travels for a midweek, so it's nice to see you.
Nice to see you as well. Thank you for being here.
Hey, my pleasure, my pleasure. My man with the bow tie, he gets the best dress award so far tonight. I see him. Nice work. I like that. It's a pleasure joining you guys, and always look forward to having these opportunities to speak to groups. And obviously, with our situation right now in our world and our country, these groups, I think, are very, very vital to keeping us engaged and keeping our minds kind of right and sanity-wise and all that good stuff. I know Jim Peranto hosts an instructional group on Wednesday nights every 2 weeks or so, and that's gained a lot of popularity, and guys really love it because right now I think we all can agree we're kind of missing that umpire, that official connection, where we hung out before our games, we hung out afterwards, we talked baseball, we talked umpiring, and I'm sure that a lot of us are missing that interaction and that camaraderie and fellowship and brother and sisterhood and all those good things. So when you have an opportunity to have these things, I think that they're really great. And I would continue to encourage you guys to do them throughout the summer and kind of make it the new norm. I know my company has talked about, virtual selling and how we're all going to be champions at virtual selling moving forward, because this is kind of the new norm. As you can see, I'm all decorated. I had a sales pitch just not too long ago. I work for a company called BSN Sports. They're probably the largest retailer of sports equipment, apparel, team gear, and all that good stuff. And obviously with campuses closed right now and the access to those in the near future, not sure where we're going to be with that. We have to be engaged and champions in this Zoom world, this team meeting world, all these things that none of us thought we would be doing prior to it. A lot of it was just conference call. None of us really saw each other face to face. So I think this gives us a great opportunity to jump on platforms like this to be able to have these interactions and so on. So Hector, thank you for having me, and I appreciate you guys and your attention tonight and your audience. Hector asked me to talk about a couple of topics that by no means does it make me an expert in or a champion in, but I guess being involved in this advocation profession, however you look at it, oh my gosh, I'm going to date myself now, for 25 plus years of doing baseball at a lot of different levels, but I can relate to you guys. Most of you guys, I'm sure, are at the high school level. Am I correct in that, Hector? Right?
Yeah, we got high school level. A couple of college guys on here.
Right. Very good. So I like you. I started off at the high school ranks as well, and started off my umpiring career as a freshman baseball umpire in Fresno, California, right in the middle of the state, and cut my teeth. I wore white socks to my first scrimmage. I wore a black long sleeve undershirt underneath my light blue Elbeco umpiring shirt, which looked awful, if I can remember and recall back to the day. So I've been in your guys' shoes. I understand what it's like to be a high school official, or even work the lower levels of college baseball. It's extremely hard. And I can assure you, the challenges that you guys are faced on a day-to-day, week-to-week, game-by-game basis are much, much harder than what I'm faced with at the level that I'm at. So I appreciate everything that you guys do. I will tell you that one of the biggest deficiencies that I hear, and not only as a baseball umpire, but a coordinator of baseball umpires, I have probably about 27 to 30 schools, 2 NAIA conferences and 1 Division III, spanning from northern Southern California all the way over to Arizona. And one of the biggest criticisms outside of balls and strikes, because that's going to be debated till, I don't know, till they figure out about this K zone, till they figure out how they're going to get the robot umpire, good God knows what. But outside of that, our biggest deficiency, according to these folks, is our game management and our game management skills. And how do we become champions at that? And I'm going to sit here and tell you that I don't know. I don't have the answers for that. I only know what has made me successful in the years that I have been doing this. So started off in the high school ranks and worked my way into professional baseball, and was lucky enough to be in professional baseball as a minor league umpire for 10 years. I can tell you right now that is not where I learned my game management skills. I was dreadful in my pro career. I was brought up in an era that was very confrontational. It was us against them, and that was the mentality. And to this day, I don't really know why, but that was the mentality. That was the culture. At all costs, you protected the crew, your partners, and the players, the coaches, managers. They were always the ones that were incorrect. So if they got out of line, if they questioned anything you did, they were always in the wrong. Well, that's not the case. And unfortunately, I think that really hurt my career, because I was labeled as very arrogant and very cocky and very confrontational, and that red ass, if you will, if you allow me to talk that way. That's the moniker that I carried throughout my 10 years in being in the minor leagues, because I was very confrontational. I didn't allow anybody to have any room to ask me questions or to get clarification on everything. Everything was my way or the highway. If you didn't like it, I didn't care. I shut you down, and that's just how I did things. And it was wrong, to be honest with you. And I think it cost me. I was able to get to AAA. I was able to actually work some spring training games, but that always followed me until I took some time away. And I guess I was away from the game for about 4 years until I got into college baseball. And I really embraced it. And I thought it was some of the pure baseball at its finest. Professional baseball has a really weird dimension to it. When people are getting paid and life's dreams and aspirations are all dependent on moving the ladder and working your way up. And that goes for managers, front office people, players, and umpires. It takes on a whole different dynamic, if you will. The college scene's a little bit different. Now, mind you, at the Division I level and some of these Power Fives, you're still talking about, kids that are going to go on to the next level, and they're going to make a whole lot of money. But when I talk about the purity of it, it's very simplistic, and the game is played at the collegiate level, at the Division I level, with a lot of respect and a lot of maturity on everybody's side, to be honest with you. You guys may see some of the, highlights and whatnot. Nothing that is ever good makes news or makes print or makes video. It's always something that is bad, or somebody that's aired or done something wrong, or a play goes awry, and it just becomes, that day's hot topic or that day's viral whatever. But I can tell you guys that for the most part, I go out there and do my job. The players do their job by playing. The coaches do their job by coaching. And there's a lot of respect that's passed along between all parties, and it's really enjoyable. But I will tell you that some of my younger days cut my teeth, if you will, in the college scene because of the differences. There was a little bit of this, and I did have to find my way a little bit. I had to realize that not all the players are going to know my name, and that's not a sign of disrespect. That's just a sign that shortstop's 18 years old, and he just doesn't realize that maybe you should know their name. And so I learned that over the course of time, and I learned how to become a really good listener instead of just talking and wanting to defend myself like I did in my minor league days. You don't always have to defend yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes people are just frustrated, and sometimes they get animated. Sometimes they get a little too animated. Sometimes they're very, very aggressive. I really feel like it's our job as officials, baseball umpires, to try to do our best job in diffusing whatever conflict that player, that coach may have with our judgment, our decision making, and how we do things. So I've taken the approach of trying to be as approachable as I possibly can. And I really champion myself to watch my body language. I watch my demeanor. I watch the words that I say. I watch the tone and inflection of how I communicate with that coach, with that player, because it's really, really important to the end goal. And the end goal is to try to keep them in the game. Okay, right, Dana? We're trying to keep them in the game. We're trying to eliminate those ejections. We're trying to eliminate those calls from athletic directors and people from the schools and the institutions. We're trying to eliminate that as best as possible. And it goes a long way, trust me, when we can do our part in that and we can help in that aspect. I will tell you, some of the best compliments that I have gotten is from a coach or a player when they will come up and they say, "Hey man, you're just like a regular normal guy. I know you're wearing the dark uniform or the light blue, but you're not, you don't have an edge to you. You're very humble. You're approachable. We know what we get with you, and we might not always agree with your judgment, but we understand that you're trying to be as professional as you can, and you're trying to be as diplomatic as you possibly can and as fair as you possibly can." And when you can put all those attributes together, you have a win-win, and you will have a staying power and a longevity in this advocation profession, however you look at it, like you have no idea. And I will tell you, some of the best people that do this at all the levels that we have, they're sought out, they're wanted, they're asked for. Those are the people that get the postseasons and the accolades, if you will, on those assignments. I can tell you at the Division I level, the guys that are being sought out for the NC2A postseason, they have the 96 guys that represent for the regionals. They have the 32 that represent for the supers, and then obviously the 8 that represent for the College World Series. Each one of those people, I'm going to tell you right now, are all highly intelligent, very articulate, understand the magnitude of the situation when they're going into it, understand the ultimate professionalism that has to be displayed, and understand it's a big, big stage. And the last thing that any of us want to have happen is to make news, because it just goes off the charts. It goes big time. Many of you may remember a couple of years ago, the gentleman that had the ejection during the regional of the pitcher who apparently mouthed and made a gesture towards that home plate umpire in Louisville. You guys remember that? If you do, remember, thumbs up. You remember the crucifixion? I hope you guys can entertain me if that's a word. That umpire took on ESPN and all the sports outlets. I mean, it was unbelievable. And I know him, and I've actually worked with him, and he's a good guy. And unfortunately, the optics of that moment probably has changed his career, unfortunately. I hope it doesn't, but it has a little bit, just because of everything. And it's unfortunate that even took place. And sometimes we got to be bigger than the moment and recognize Do we act right now or don't we act? And let me give you an example of that. Many of you have probably been umpiring or following umpires for many years. Back in, I want to say 2013. How many of you guys, raise a hands or that I can see, how many of you guys have heard of Joe Burleson? The umpire Joe Burleson, right? Very decorated, probably the guy that you would put on the marquee for amateur umpires. He's worked Olympics. He's worked, oh my gosh, 7, 8 College World Series. Just a highly, highly decorated guy. Anyways, back in 2013, he was working the College World Series. He was working the plate. He had 2 rivals that happened to be at Omaha and made it there: NC State, North Carolina State, and North Carolina. I'm not remembering exactly the part of the game. I want to say it was about the middle of the game. Nothing score, and they end up having a play at the plate where Joe rendered that the North Carolina guy was safe at home. Anybody remember that game? Remember that play? Anybody? Well, I'm going to tell you what ended up happening. Close play and fast speed. I'm going to tell you right now, I was watching it, and I said, uh-oh, I think he missed that one. Well, the catcher threw his glove down and the ball, threw it down on the ground, and the starting pitcher, his name is Anthony Randone, he's in the big leagues right now, he's a bonus baby, he threw his glove and hat on the ground. Well, how many of you, if you had that protested in one of your games, high school, whatever level you're at, how many of you, show of hands, would have an ejection there, right? Demonstration, all that whole thing, blah, blah, blah. Let me tell you something. And Joe took a lot of heat for this, but I challenged a lot of people that I thought he did the right thing. He didn't eject either guy. He didn't eject either guy, and he got the play right, 100% right. And he showed extremely good patience and extremely good professionalism, and he didn't get animated. He didn't get excited. The only thing he said to those 2 kids was, hey, boys, you better pick up that equipment soon, because if you don't, I'm going to eject you. Now, a bunch of people are sitting at home going, that's a no-brainer. Anytime you throw equipment, anytime you protest an umpire's call, blah, 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 that should be an immediate ejection. I'm going to tell you right now, I know this for a fact. If he would have ejected those 2 kids in that moment, court of public opinion, people that don't know our business, do not know the nuances of officiating, and then that should be an immediate ejection, they would have crucified. They would have said, oh, my God, these kids, they're just kids. They're protesting because it was a close play, and they're excited, and they were a little animated, so what? That's what they would have thought. And I thought he showed awesome professionalism and super, super big-time class, and really kept his emotions in check, kept both those kids in the game, was very, very firm with the head coach and saying, you know, I could have ejected both of these kids. I didn't. I know I got the call right. I'm going to stand by my call. And when you go look at this later on in replay and you see me later on in one of your games, I just would hope that you'd extend me a nod of the hat. And you know what? That's exactly what happened from that head coach. And those 2 players later apologized later on during the series. So my point is you can have 2 examples. You can have an example where somebody mouths something to you and you see that, and he's showing disgust or disdain for your judgment, your call, and acting on it in a moment. And over here, the same thing where it could be cut and dry that you could have ejections, but you chose not to because you realize the moment and the magnitude of the situation. So sometimes we got to bite the bullet. And I'm not saying that when somebody comes rearing out of that dugout and they are just on the attack, they come out, they make contact with you. There's a lot of swearing. There's a lot of hand gesturing. There's a lot of, just spitting and all that. No, I'm not asking you guys to take any kind of abuse. What I'm asking, though, is if they don't come out that way, ask yourself, how am I going to diffuse this situation? How am I going to put this back to where I'm getting this guy not on the defense, but I'm getting him listening to me and understanding that it's not about convincing them that you're right. It's not about that. It's about convincing them that you're doing the best that you possibly can and that you're handling the moment and that you're watching all aspects of your breathing and your timing and your mannerisms and your disposition and your body language and how you're talking to them and the voice inflection and all those things. Man, those things are so critical. I will tell you guys, here's a little tip. If I've got a coach that comes out and he's screaming and hollering, 9 times out of 10, that's not happening anymore because they know that I'm not going to listen to that. But all I'll say is I'll just start talking lower. I'll just start talking lower to where the point where they go, what did you just say? And I'll continue to talk lower until they have completely diffused. So now they're trying to actually hear me talk, and they're not even thinking about what they're out there arguing about. They've completely stopped that whole thing. And by the way, Dominic, nice to see you. I see you there, brother. Way to see you. Nice to see you, man. That way you've completely diffused them. And now they're working for you. So now they come back and they say, what did you say? What did you say? Hey, Skip. Hey, you know what? I'd be happy to explain to you what I've got from where I'm at. Be happy to do that. But I'd appreciate it if you didn't interrupt me. I'll allow you to talk after I explain to you what I have from where I'm at. And I can really appreciate what you want to have to say and what you saw from where you're at, but here's what I got. And I know that sounds easy, and I know that you're like, geez, Billy, you don't realize, these high school coaches, they can be a pain in the ass. These summer ball coaches and whatnot. Sure, absolutely. They can be complete fart heads. I get it. And they can cheap shot you, and they can do all those type of things. What you guys got to try to figure out is when's the right moment to ignore something? When's the right moment to have a little bit of a look? When's the right moment to have the look with the mask off? Now, 9 times out of 10, when the mask comes off, there's going to be some kind of a warning or something that's going to take place, because that is like, hey, I've heard enough. I'm not going to listen to any more. And if you do, here's going to be the byproduct of that. Okay. So it's all about the timing of all the things, the mannerisms, the body language, all that stuff at the right time. I don't have a crystal ball for that. All I can tell you is over time, I learned how to do those things by trial and error. And when I tried and was successful, I chose to do it again. And I chose to try to do it that way again. And that's all I can tell you is to be as approachable and as professional as you possibly can. And man, when those guys are screaming and hollering at you, sometimes, hey, just ignore that a little bit. But when there needs to be an address it. And sometimes it's as simple as, hey, I'm not out here trying to miss anything. I'm trying to work as hard as I can. And the longer you continue to jam me up and ride my frame, well, what do you expect? There's just certain little things. And I challenge you guys, a lot of groups, they do a great job of training and all that good stuff. They go out there, they work on mechanics, they work on the rules, which is all good, all very, very important. One of the things that I always challenge groups to try to do is to work on the game management skill side of things and do role playing. So you create a skit, if you will, whatever the scenario, balls and strikes, close play at first base, force play slide rule at second, trap in the outfield, whatever you got. Script that with a partner or two and go through the whole scene and role play that and take it serious and figure out how you said things, why you said things, and then have some bystander critique it. And you're going to find that when you go back and you replay the whole thing, you're going to say to yourself, man, I tried to talk too much. I tried to talk over him. I didn't allow him to speak. My body language was all off. I looked like I was nervous. My heart rate went up because naturally, as soon as we're confronted by anybody, our heart rate goes up. When our heart rate goes up, our processing tends to speed up. And that's the worst thing that we can do as officials. We got to constantly tell ourselves, breathe, stay in the moment, focus, listen, don't say anything, those type of things. You can put all those things together, that game management piece of your officiating becomes whole. And I know it's difficult at the lower levels, and I know it's difficult for some of you guys that haven't been doing it for a long time. I will assure you, though, at some point in time, it's just like I call it putting on pants. I'm sure some of you guys have heard me say that before. When you got up this morning, did you figure out, did you like really plot and say to yourself, what leg am I going to put in first? No, you just put your pants on, right? Just, hey, it's natural. Well, that's how officiating becomes. It becomes so natural that you just do it. You instinctively go to that position. You instinctively read that fly ball coverage. You instinctively have that strike on the corner outside from any 1 to any 9. Like putting on pants. You don't even think about it. You just do it. So I will tell you that towards the latter part of my career, which is right now, all I worry about is handling the game. And I handle my crew because most of the time I'm crew chief, so I'm responsible for 3 or 4 guys. And that's the biggest thing that's asked of me. I'm going to be honest with you guys. Ball strike safe and out. I'm not that good. There's guys that are way better. The reason why I tend to get a little more slack with that stuff is because of the game management, because of how I've handled myself over time and repetition, and them understanding what they're getting out of me, the official. You will all get there, but it takes time. You got to put in the work. It doesn't happen overnight. It's one of those things that just takes time. So I hope that helps a little bit. Game management is really, really vital to the success of an official at all sports, especially baseball. Baseball is a unique dynamic. You've got, 2 dugouts with 3-4 coaches and a handful of players, and some are on the field, some are right next to you. And there's just so much that's going on. And especially in a 2-man system where you've got so much responsibility and so much to look for and be cognizant of, we tend to forget the game management piece. And we really got to stay focused. The 2-man system is so hard, and everybody's at such a disadvantage. But with budgets and all the things that are going on now with this COVID thing, oh my gosh, 2-man. I mean, I know we've made strides with some states and with some conferences where we were able to get the 3-man put into place, and that was great. But I'm so worried that we're gonna unfortunately take a big giant step backwards to try to get back to where we are. I'm willing to do that because I love it so much, and I don't want to see all the hard work that we've done to get to this point go by the wayside. I know that a lot of administrative people. I have a conference call with one of my conferences on Monday, and I just was speaking to my commissioner via text a little bit ago, and no decisions have been made on game fee reductions or systems that are worked. We work 3-man in this particular conference. No decisions have been made. I'm going to fight like hell to try to keep it as best I can because I think it's important. But we are going to have to make some sacrifices after this situation so we can all get back on the field at some point in time, and we will. We're going to get back to some form of normalcy. It will take place. Nobody has a crystal ball how long that's going to be, but we will. And we've got to be ready and prepared to do that. And I think that we'll all be excited for that day. And I'm positive that we will not take baseball and umpiring for granted anymore. I know I'm guilty of that. And I won't be doing that anymore. So that's on the game management piece, and I'll open it up for questions after I'm done with this next one. But Hector also wanted me to touch on investment in regards to the official, the umpire investing in training, camps, clinics, online learning. A lot of stuff is going to go to online learning. I know I'm involved in a project with a guy right now that's trying to place this virtual learning, e-learning, if you will. It's more virtual because it's interactive with live plays and then narration. Some of you guys have maybe have seen some videos that I was part of in this production thing, or a guy named Scott Taylor, who's the Division II national coordinator. We are doing these things right now to where we take plays captured with possibly four camera angles. We've got a camera that's on the plate umpire, camera that's on the base umpire. We've got drone footage from up above. We've got a camera over in the third base dugout, and sometimes we'll have a camera in the first base dugout. And we'll have a play that will either simulate or we'll capture it from a game, a tournament, and then they call us the talent, although I'm not sure what that really means, but we will narrate what was done well and what we could probably improve on. So there's a lot of things that are going on because, quite frankly, it's extremely hard to educate and teach all the officials throughout the country. And let's just focus on baseball because that's what we're here to talk about. I'm not able to go watch all the guys that I have working for me. I have probably 170 guys that span over 3 rosters. There's no way that I can see them all. It's impossible. I do try to go on and watch their games as they're streamed and they're in the ballparks, and I do a lot of that. When I'm doing my travels, I always check to see if I'm within a drive to go and watch guys, but it's really impossible. So platforms like this virtual learning that's coming out are critical for us to be able to continue to educate, continue to talk about deficiencies that we have in our umpiring, in our mechanics, in lots of things. So I would encourage you guys to look at getting some training. Most of you guys probably work in some kind of professional advocation or profession, if you will. For myself, I constantly have e-learning that I have to go to. I constantly have seminars or things that I have to physically go to continue to educate myself so I can perform my job to the best of my abilities. I don't think that officiating is any different. I think guys should look at if everything aligns, if their finances align, if their time spent away from their family and friends and their job align, seek it out. And by no means is this an endorsement for Black and Blue because it's not. I want people to come and go to camps, and if it's mine, that's great. But seek out. There's a lot of really good ones that are out there, and there's a lot of good people that I know that are putting these things on, and their intentions are in the right path. They want to make sure that umpires are getting better. They want to make sure that umpires are having an opportunity to get this knowledge that a lot of us have been able to gain over the course of many, many years. And we want to get back. And that's one of the reasons why I started the Black and Blue umpire camps 10 years ago, was that very thing. We didn't have a camp on the West Coast that did any kind of instruction. We had one, but it kind of fizzled out. And so there was a big void there for a number of years. And so I started it. My main objective was it was all about education. I didn't want it to be a tryout thing. I didn't want any of that crap. I wanted it to be strictly about the education. And over time, what transpired was, and I had to come to a realization was, and Dominic knows this, guys want to not only come for the training, but they want to come for the exposure. They want to come to get noticed. They want the opportunity to showcase their talents and their abilities and their skill sets to the decision makers. So I eventually had to come to a rationalization that, my program was a vehicle for being educated or to get educated and to network and to gain exposure, because I had some of the brightest minds, active umpires on my staff. And then I had all the decision makers that you have on the West Coast attending, looking to see what the talent pool was out there in case they had needs for hiring officials at the higher level. And it's really kind of metamorphosed itself into a full circle thing now. So it really was catered for college baseball umpires and to get guys from high school into the lower levels, and then from the lower levels all the way up to where you had potential in reaching. And it's been great. It's been beyond what I could ever imagine the success of it is. But now I'm realizing that I think there's more out there. And so we started another company called Black and Blue Umpires Association last year. And our primary goal is to get into the levels below college, but primarily into the travel ball. And I say the travel ball because, and I'm a travel ball dad, and I try to be as respectful as I possibly can on the weekends because I know what those guys are going through. But what I've noticed, and what I noticed the dynamic of the travel ball umpire is that it's almost like being farmed out. They're asked, and most of them are willing to go out and they work their 4, 5, 6 games in a day on a Saturday, and then they repeat. And what I've noticed, what I've noticed is that the end product sometimes isn't the best. It's unfair to these kids and these coaches that put a lot of time and a lot of money, that, a guy that's working his 6th game in a day and then he's tired, he's not maximizing his effort. And so, the players and coaches aren't getting the best out of that guy. And I'm not saying that happens all the time, but I've witnessed that, and that's unfortunate. So we got into, we call it BBUA. We got into this last year. We were due to facilitate 50 tournaments this year. Obviously, with this situation, we've been reduced, and we have no idea when we're going to get back. But we're waiting to see, and I do feel like we will get back at some point in time. All indicators are pointing that way. But I wanted to bring a bit of professionalism and education to this arena of travel ball umpire. It just seems like there's a group, whoever it is, you try to get as many guys, and you try to fill the games. You're just trying to fill the games, and there's no culture that's being harvested, if you will. And not that I've got the wand and the mechanism or anything, but I'm just taking all the things that I've been lucky enough to learn and to be exposed to, and we're just trying to create an atmosphere, and I'm hoping it pays off. But more accountability, trying to tell these guys, hey, less is more. I mean, yeah, would it be great to make another $65? Sure. But is it really worth it if you're out there in your body language and your demeanor? All these things we talked about in the game management piece are all terrible. You just look like you're not having fun. You don't look like you're enjoying it. You're not giving max effort. You're putting a bad connotation in a lot of people's minds about officials and umpires. And that's the last thing that we really want to do. We want to promote us. We want people to realize that we're an integral part of the game and of the sport. And so all I'm trying to do is get a group of people that recognize that and understand that and appreciate that. And if, hey, you know what? If you're the person that can go out there and give max effort, and you're going to do 6 games, and that 6th game, you're giving that effort just like you did in game 1 at 8:00 in the morning, I'm all for it. I think that's outstanding. But when I start to see that you're not doing that, that's when I've got a problem. That's when we're going to have a conversation. And then we're going to either have to make some behavioral adjustments, or we're just not going to be able to give you those 6 games in a day. So it's rewarding. I'm enjoying it. It's a completely different mindset of individuals, just because, it's just been that way for all those years. I recognize it. And the reason I recognize it is several years ago, I got into officiating high school football, and I absolutely loved it. I I would pick up a whistle over watching 9 innings of baseball. I got to be honest with you guys. I thought it was great. My problem is that I was just gone too much, and there was just so many things outside of working on the field that I was starting to be exposed to and getting the opportunities to do. And I just chose that I needed to, walk away from it. But during my 5 years of doing high school football, I also did youth football. And it was a great way for me to go out and learn the intricacies of officiating football with the littler kids. But I mean, I was out there from 8 o'clock in the morning till 6, 7 o'clock at night. I mean, it was crazy, and I enjoyed it, and I tried to give max effort. But I looked around and I saw some of my partners, and the body language and the demeanor and just the product that was being displayed, it bothered me, and I remember it to this day. So when I became travel ball dad, and I went out there and I'm trying to coach, and I'm watching this, and man, when you got an official that just looks like he doesn't care, doesn't want to be out there, he's not in shape, he can't move around, he never takes his mask off. You ask him what the count is, he doesn't want to give it to you, and when he gives it to you, he gives it to you with attitude. I'm like, oh, there's got to be some attention drawn to this a little bit. So we've been doing it for the last several months, and it's been successful, and we're going to continue to do it. We're creating a curriculum that we feel is going to be very, very successful for these guys, and help them, do bigger and better things. So my main thing that I want to get across with you guys is if you've got the means financially, you have the time that you can set aside to go and participate in an opportunity at a camp or at a clinic, I would encourage it. I think they're great. I think, Dominic, you had a really good time with us last year. You did a hell of a job. I just feel like there's so much camaraderie that goes on at these things. There's a lot of things that you find out about yourself. I find out a lot of things about myself. I find out a lot of things about what my leadership skills are about, and how I lead guys and direct guys and have conversations with guys about real stuff, about reality. And I think it's good. I think it's solid and it's healthy. I think we all should have the opportunity to have an evaluation of ourselves and our work and how we are as human beings and what we're doing to give back to people and advocating, baseball and umpires. Too many times I hear about, umpires putting other umpires down, or guys worried about who gets this assignment or who's getting, this postseason, or, who's friends with this person or that person. And it's such a slippery slope, and it just creates a divisiveness and divide. And we're a small knit fraternity, and we only have ourselves, because if you ask the common person about us, they don't know anything about what we do. They don't know about the time. They quite frankly, they think we show up 5 minutes before the game, put the black shirt on, put the gray pants on, put our shoes on, put the hat on, and walk out there. They don't realize all the behind the scenes stuff. They don't realize all the sacrifices that you guys make with your family and friends to go and make a 3:30 in the afternoon game, maybe work the JV, then you work the varsity. On the weekends, you're doing the men's league stuff and all that. They don't realize that stuff. I mean, I wish they would, but they don't. I mean, I've had conversations with some very prominent Division I coaches on planes, in airports, and I ask them all the time. I go, "What do you guys know about any of us? Do you guys even know what we do? What kind of?" They're like, "Nope, we have no idea." And I go, "Yep, you should, because if you did, I have a feeling that you would appreciate us a lot more." Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to agree with our judgment. That's not what I'm getting at. You would appreciate us a lot more, and you wouldn't look at us like a three-headed monster. We actually are human beings, and we have families, we have careers, we have life outside of baseball and umpiring, and that makes us genuine, I believe. But at the same time, as much as we're asking them to view us as humans, I think we need to do the same. And I think sometimes we fail at that because we get a little jaded, or we get caught up in the emotion of things. And God, I go out there and I try to do the best I can, but they just yell at me. Well, you know what? Nobody held a gun to your head and say, hey, you got to go do this officiating umpiring thing. Sometimes that's how it is. And sometimes we go through times and periods and patterns of where it's not working out. It's tough. It's hard. And it's hard to look forward to your next game. You're like, God, what am I doing here? But you got to love it. I mean, it's an amazing thing. I mean, we don't get attaboys coming off the field. We don't get high fives. We barely you get stink-eyed in the parking lot when you're trying to change. I remember those days vividly. You got Johnny All-Star's mom who thinks you're just the worst thing ever. And so it's crazy that we do this, but I love it. I just think it's great, and it has taught me so many wonderful values to being a better person, to being a better father, better husband, better communicator. I think it helps me in my sales position that I have. I definitely feel that it helps me as far as a leader of umpires at the different things that I get to do with BBUC and with BBUA and with my coordinating gigs. And I hope to God that it allows me to continue to do things on the administrative side for years to come. So I hope that helps a little bit. By no means am I sitting here saying, hey, yeah, sign up tomorrow. I really don't know if we're going to have camps this year. We're still evaluating it. We're still watching it. The one that I'm worried about right now is the 4-man. That's an invitational one that takes place at the end of July. And I'm worried about it on a couple of fronts. First and foremost, I'm not even sure we're going to have a tournament to be able to facilitate. And that's one of the key things, because this is a really big evaluation camp that we conduct. So I'm not even sure we're going to have a tournament. The other byproduct of it, and I was just having this conversation with Jim Peranto, the Mountain West coordinator of umpires, last night. I'm battling right now because outside of the Pac-12 next year, I don't think you're going to see 4-man. I don't. The WCC, I know, is not going to have it. The Mountain West is not going to have it. Everybody's in survival mode. They're in cost-saving mode. And I'm battling with how can I have a 4-man camp when nobody's going to go work 4-man next year? And I'm not trying to be discouraging here, but most of the people that come to the 4-man, and they're talented people, Dominic, one of them, your chances of going to work for Dave Yates in the Pac-12 coming out of this camp are, slim to none. It just takes time. So I'm really struggling with whether or not we're going to have it. Now, the other ones, they're all, they all take place September, October. Do I feel good about September, October? Well, I feel a lot better about September, October than I do July. But again, this was supposed to be our 10-year anniversary. We started this thing in 2010. I was really wanting to bring back a lot of people. I don't know how easy it's going to be to travel and all these things. So we're really watching this closely. By no means are we pulling the plug or anything like that, but we are monitoring it and seeing whether or not, we want to, have these things, or should we postpone them? Should we look at the first of the year right before, the new season? But, nobody knows if the new season is going to start on time. There's a lot of talk right now that college athletics are not going to happen in the year 2020. I mean, there is a lot of talk around that. And I will tell you guys, and then I'll open it up for questions. College football has to happen at the collegiate level. It has to happen. It is the cash cow that runs every program in the United States at the collegiate level. It's everything. And by no means is there talk about cancellation, because it would be the death sentence to college athletics for probably a good year or two. And that's no joke. But what I am hearing is that college football, would probably not start until January or February of 2021. That is what I'm hearing. And then the rest of the sports would all be pushed out a month or 2 months. I'm also hearing that college baseball would look to possibly start in April, as late as April, and go into summer. That's a realistic thing that people are looking at, and it's all speculation. There's so many contingency plans. There's so many things that are being talked about. Dana, I'm sure that you at the high school level, there's a lot of discussion on what the heck we're going to do. You don't even know, because it's all mandated by the states and how the states are going to reopen and get us back out and having some form of normalcy. Me personally, I think until we have the ability to test people, and especially student athletes, I think we're going to be challenged. But when we can test people on a regular basis and reassure people to be in a classroom, to be in a movie theater, to be in a sporting event, I think we're going to struggle. And but that's just me. I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, I hope that was good, Hector. And I'd love to answer any questions that you guys may have, and feel free to ask me anything that you'd like.
Awesome, Billy. A couple questions that come up. First one, well, first I'm going to say about the camp, your October camp. I just want to say that I did purchase some cheap flights for it. For like $115. So
yeah, they're cheap right now.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that.
Good.
Communication with coaches. When is it too much? When is it too much? When is too much enough?
When is too much enough?
Yes.
It's too much is enough when all you're doing is going round and around. You're not solving anything. Both the two parties continue to repeat each other. And at some point in time, you've got to say to that coach, that player, well, probably not that player, because hopefully somebody's intervened. We'll say it's a coach. You're going to say, listen, obviously we're not going to agree on this, and I can respect your opinion, and I need you to respect mine. But I've got to get the game back resumed, and I know that you appreciate that. So I would like it if you would return to the dugout so we could resume it. I'm going to go now back to my position to resume the game, and I would hope that you'd go back to your position to resume the game. If you do not, and you continue to stay there, or if you follow me, or if you continue to discuss, I will be forced to eject you. I think we all know when we have spoken too much. I think we all feel like we have that filter and that mechanism that tells us I'm talking too much here. Because the problem that we've got sometimes, and I say this, if we talk too much, we invite speculation to come into interpretation and judgment. When sometimes if we limit the amount of discussion, just the points. Hey, coach, I can appreciate what you saw from where you were, but this is what I saw from where I'm at. And be very, very precise, and then stop talking. And then if he comes back and says, hey, I disagree with you, the ball beat him, da-da-da, well, I just got done explaining to you from where I was, and in my judgment, this is what I had, and this is why I called it, blah, 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 okay? Realize that you've got a mechanism in there that's telling you, hey, I'm not going to say any more. I'm not going to elaborate any more with this. This is what I got. And then at some point in time, hopefully the partner or your partners, you've all discussed that little bit of eye contact or that signal that says, hey, I want to get back to work here. I need you guys to help me get this guy moving and in a direction so we can resume the game. So just realize less is more, listen more than you speak, and when you articulate yourself, make it precise. If it has to do with judgment, continue to go back and reiterate in my judgment. And if it has to do with the rules, make sure that you are articulate in giving rule book terminology. There is nothing more powerful for an official in completely shutting down a discussion, an argument, whatever, if you have articulate, word for word, rule book terminology. It is amazing. They will be blown away and they will leave. I can't tell you how many times I have spit something out and the guy will look at me and go, okay, and off they go. That's it. There's no more. It's done. So sometimes less is more. Listen, speak less, give them what you got and move on.
Awesome. What happened to enable you to learn that the confrontational persona wasn't the right approach?
When I had too many ejections and I got tired of writing them, that's when I knew. It just, you get to a point in time where you mature enough or you grow up enough that you just go, God, do I want to go out and battle each and every night? And that's what I was doing in the minor leagues, each and every night. And it wasn't just me, it was my partner. We were a tag team duo and it was just, it was ridiculous. But I knew it was too much when, instead of being able to go out and enjoy some nightlife, I was going back to the hotel and preparing ejection reports. And that just gets old. I mean, we didn't like to do that when we were kids in school. So why would that be enjoyable to put down when we're an adult? So I realized when I got tired of writing reports that it was time to rein it back a little bit.
Couple more questions, Billy?
Yeah, absolutely. Good.
Okay, let's see. What advice would you tell either a young or a veteran umpire who is having a hard time to stay upbeat and positive and not lose focus or give up?
Go back to what got you to do this in the first place. Something triggered in you that said, I want to go officiate. I mean, you had to have known getting into it that you're not going to get the attaboys, you're not going to get the accolades, the high fives, or any of that stuff. It was more of, I can look myself in the mirror and I can stand across from my partner after we've gotten done doing a game and go, man, that was awesome. We worked our rear ends off. That was amazing. I always go back to just that self-gratification, even when times are tough, because I've had some tough moments. I've had some moments on the baseball field that were covered TV-wise, and then you run it back, and God, I've seen that play a gazillion times on YouTube or whatever, and I just tell myself, I just say, you know what? You're not going to get them all right. You're not going to get them all right. And I'll give you a perfect example. So last year I got to work the World Series highlight. It's just there's nothing better. I got to work game one. I was at first base. Okay. So as a crew, the 8 of us, so there's 2 crews of 4. We all said to ourselves, hey, let's go out and do our best. Let's not umpire for replay. Let's just go out and let's call them like we see them. But then, of course, the 2 crew chiefs, Perry Costello and Jeff Henrik, say, okay, well, the first guy that, gets reversed on replay has to buy, the crew round. And I said, okay, that's fine. That's great. Well, sure enough, I had Michigan and Texas Tech, and in about the 5th inning or something like that, I have a back pick into first base with the swim move, and I call the guy out, and immediately the kid jumped up and he's going, no. And all of a sudden I look over and the head coach of Michigan's doing the whole rabbit ear thing. And I'm like, here we go. Great. So I go over to the headset. I walk over with the crew chief. I'm sitting there going, he's like, God, he goes, I thought you got that right. And I go, well, we'll see. And about 2 minutes into it, in my ear, yeah, Hazy, sorry, man, we're going to have to overturn this one. So you guys aren't 100%. That's game 1. I still had 2 weeks to go at that place. And I said to myself, I walked off the field and I said, damn it, that sucks. But, I got to the best position I could. I wasn't lazy. I anticipated the snapback throw. I knew the guy was getting kind of that secondary type lead at first base where he was really coming off. And so I had a feeling that there would be a back pick. And I got to the best possible place I could. And you know what? I walked in, all the guys high-fived, and this and that. They busted my onions a little bit, but, I had a plate job the next night. So I couldn't worry about the back pick of first base because I had to go out that night and call pitches in a probably one of the best games that we had that Sunday night. So you got to move on. I know it's hard, but you got to keep your chin up. You're going to have days when you struggle. You're going to have days where, unfortunately, you're going to bring in your personal life, whether you had a bad day at work. Your 10-year-old doesn't want to, do e-learning with his mom, which, I was experiencing about a half hour ago because I can hear him in earshot. You can't bring that to the ballpark. You gotta leave that stuff in the car. You gotta leave that stuff in the locker room. These coaches and players, they expect us to be, impartial, and they expect us to give a 110%. So there's no opportunity to have carryover. It just can't exist. And you got to find that mechanism, that ability to persevere and to shake it off, if you will, because you got to come back with the next game, and that next game could be 30 minutes after that moment that you're down a little bit. So just got to keep your chin up. Officiating it comes in waves. You have moments where everything is going great and there's no problems, and you got moments, man, you feel like you're just walking in the mud, and it happens. So, but we just got to continue to stay positive and realize, we get to go home that night and hug our family and breathe the next day. So it's all good.
We got two more for you here.
Sure.
Is there a prototypical body type and look to move up the ranks height-wise?
No, I don't think height has anything to do with it. I will tell you that if a guy, appearance-wise, and I say this where they come, they look like they're out of shape, that's going to hinder you. I won't lie. I'll be completely honest with you. They are looking for athletic, fit people to work the highest levels. It sells better. It just comes across better. Why this is, I don't know, but it's believability, right? Let me give you an example. How many of you guys, well, we don't do it right now, but some of us may, but when you go into McDonald's, right? I'll just give you this as an example. You go into McDonald's, you got a line full of people taking your order, right? You got 3 people down here over to your right that look like they need a bath. And then you got this person over here that looks like they're put together. Who are you going to order from? Right? Well, it's no different than in the officiating business. I mean, I walk out on the field and I look fit and I look good in my uniform. Everything's tidy. Everything's nice. They're going to tend to believe me more than the guy that looks like he's got the Dunlap. He's got the whole belly over the belt thing. It just doesn't sell. It just doesn't look good. So height, not so much. There's a lot of really good umpires working high level at all levels of amateur baseball. I don't think that's got anything to do with it. I think it's about believability, that perception that guy's working hard. That guy looks like he's in shape. That guy looks like he's getting himself in the right positions. I'll even go a step farther. I've got a very good friend in Arizona. His name's Jason Rogers. Some of you may know of him. Jason Rogers is one of the most talented umpires I've ever met in my entire life. Super good. I've worked with him in postseason, working with him in regular season. Jason has a weight problem. He's got a weight problem. There's no doubt about it. He's overweight, and it just doesn't set nice in the shirt and the pants. And a couple years ago, we went to Kentucky for a regional, and he did a phenomenal job, absolutely outstanding job, okay? Well, my wife and son are watching, of course, and we have a situation, dang it, I think it was on a check swing, and I'm working the plate, and I send a check swing down to him, and he says no. Third baseman for, I believe it was NC State, has some words for him. He shuts it down. I swear to God, the very next pitch, another one. It's a bastard. It's a nut cutter. I send it down to him again, and he says no. So the third baseman starts to get into it. Anyways, they have a little confrontation. Well, the cameras are all on Jason. Everything on Jason. So we get done with the game, no ejections, thank God. Get in the locker room, we shower up, we're on our way to grab some food, have some fun, and I call my family to say hello. And I kid you not, and my wife is by no means the umpire police on fashion or body or anything like that, but that's the first thing that she said. She says, "Oh my God, who was the fat umpire at third base?" Word for word. And Jason's one of the nicest guys in the world. Now, you can call him up. I shared that story with him. The very next year, and I'm going to tell you why I shared the story with him. Because the very next year, Jason Rogers was not working postseason. True story. And he wasn't told why. And I thought that was terrible. It really pissed me off because I gave him an unbelievable recommendation and evaluation, and I was upset about it, and as well he was. And so I actually was that next year I had a regional up in Corvallis at Oregon State, and one of our advisors was there, and I actually got him on the phone. To have him say, "Yeah, Jay, it's your weight," and the guy can get around the field, ladies and gentlemen. The guy can flat out get around the field for a big man. He's got no problems. It's the damn perception of the whole thing that is just really hard to sell. So vertical, not so much. I mean, I wouldn't, I know Doug Weiss would love to be a little bit taller, right? He's a fellow New Mexicoan, right? He'd love to be taller. I know you guys are laughing. He's a friend of mine. But, it doesn't matter. If you can do the job and you can go out there, height doesn't matter. But I will say that if you carry that weight, it's not gonna bode well. And not just for the mere perception of it, but overall health. It's just not good to carry that weight. It's a hindrance.
A follow-up question to that one. Will wearing a bow tie at our training webinar give you a chance?
I will tell you that he would probably win the award for best dressed at our banquet. We have those banquets where we give out the certificates and we give out a few awards. I'm going to tell you right now. And it's funny. When we started the camps 10 years ago, we used to have a dinner. I used to pay for a dinner. Well, I found out that I wasn't making any money, so I stopped doing the dinner. But we still have the graduation, and we do the awards, and I always have a guest speaker. So it's a really nice night. But I will tell you, over the years, the dress on the attendants, the campers, is outdoing my staff. My staff continues to kind of dress down, although they still look nice. I'm not going to take anything away from them. But the campers are the ones that are now stepping up their game in full suits and bow ties and pocket squares and all that good stuff. They look sharp, and I love it. I think a well-dressed guy is awesome. I always try to look nice going to and from, at least, and I think it's a nice polished look. So, Santana, you look great.
Well, anybody else, guys? I didn't get anything else. Dana, you have anything for us?
So, Billy, thank you so much for joining us. This was awesome. I'm getting texts from people on this call, and they're loving it. So I appreciate you serving us such good information. I actually recorded it so I could go back and take some notes as well, and it was very informative, and seems like everybody was engaged, and that's the whole point of why we've started doing this, is keeping our officials engaged during this very strange time that we're navigating. So we appreciate you spending your Thursday night with us and dropping some knowledge on us, because we definitely need it. As you know, this is such a very unique family, as you were kind of talking about. Nobody understands officials except for other officials, and having somebody from your level come and talk to us and feel the same way is definitely a bonus. So we appreciate that. On an unrelated note, two little quick things. First of all, Stephen Swift, who is still on this, happy birthday. It's Stephen's birthday today.
Nice.
And then Brad Bach, who's on this, was just named Veteran of the Week by the Battlefields to Ballfields Foundation. So that's pretty cool. So we've got lots of stuff to celebrate. Just because there's a lull in sports doesn't mean that we will ever stop celebrating and recognizing our officials. So awesome for you guys. And Billy, thank you so much. It was awesome having you on, and I could listen to you speak for probably 7 hours. So I really do appreciate you coming on.
Well, I'll tell my wife that because she doesn't like to hear me speak for 5 minutes.
You know, the spousal thoughts on those are always different because my husband says the same thing. He's like, do you ever shut up? I'm like, no, I really don't. So, but he's the quiet one, so it works. She's
wondering how long this facial hair is going to go. And I told her, I said, I started growing it as soon as I knew the season was canceled on that dreadful March 13th, which was a Friday, by the way.
Yes, it was.
And I was in North Carolina, and I was flying home that day, and I said, I'm not going to shave until this thing is over. And I had no idea at the time that it would metamorphose into this. So this is about the itchiest damn thing I've ever had. I normally keep it nice and tight, but I said, you know what? This is the COVID beard. So as soon as we get the shelter in place lifted, which will probably be long after the rest of the country, I may trim this thing down. So anytime you guys need to reach out, I know I just saw somebody pop up. Please give me a call over the weekend. Weekends are usually the best to get in touch with me if you need to chat. If I don't answer, I'll be sure to get back in touch with you. My mornings are usually, for some reason, I love to take care of my garden and my yard. So I do that on Saturday mornings. So if I don't answer, I'll call you guys back. But, anytime anybody needs anything, that's the role I play. And that's what I love to do. Mentoring is the biggest reward that I have for this thing. So I thank you guys for allowing me to spend some time with you guys tonight.
We're all better for your time with us tonight. So thank you again.
You got it. Hector, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Dom, nice to see you, buddy.
I'll be reaching out.
Thank you.
Come on. All right, you guys. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon.
Have a good one, Billy.
I just finished building the garden.
Okay, guys, thanks a lot for being on. We'll go over our 5 questions that we sent out this week. If you have time, you can stick around. It'll be quick. Next Thursday night, we have John Brammer, who's a Big 12 umpire, and he's the JUCO assigner from around here in Mexico and West Texas. So that'll be good for a lot of us. So hopefully you can join us. Dana, can I share my screen to show the questions?
I think you should be able to. Try it real quick and see, and if not, I'll make you the host.
Oh, okay, let's see. Oh, there we go.
I'm seeing it.
Okay.
Yeah, you have a lot of little icons at the bottom there.
I know. All right, guys. So we had 7 responses this week. So thanks to you guys who took the time to do it.
Sorry,
I just collect emails just to have. I'm not going to give you a grade or anything like that. So never worry about that. But the first question: at the time of the pitch, outfielders shall be on fair ground except the catcher, who shall be in the catcher's box. So if we look at the responses, so we had 7 responses. So it actually changed since we last saw it. So the correct answer here is B. All fielders are in fair ground when at least 1 foot is touching fair ground. And that's rule 1.14. Okay, for the next question, Jones comes in to pinch hit in the 5th inning. The plate umpire checks the lineup card and finds that Jones is not listed on the card. What should the plate umpire do? And the answer here is C. We're going to allow Jones to pinch hit and mark the change on the lineup card. Just something that I would do is I'm going to just look in the dugout and say, Coach, pinch hitter, and just double check. But, if you don't do that, then you can allow it. Third question, the home team decides to temporarily extend both dugouts. They may do so. The answer is C. Only if they go towards the outfield on a line parallel to the foul line. And that's 1.24. Next one, an illegal slide occurs. Pretty simple, everyone got it right. The answer is C, the runner goes beyond the base and alters the play of the fielder. And that's 2.32.2. And lastly, the following are acts of offensive interference. The answer is C, 2.21. Point L, I believe. When a runner, both are correct, a runner yelling at the shortstop causing him to drop the ball, or a runner maliciously contacting a fielder without the ball. Any questions on those? Dana, anything else for us? I think that's all I have.
I don't have anything else. Thank you for getting this put together, and these are awesome.
Are we going 7:15 again next week or 7?
It'll be 7:15 again. I just talked to the softball guys earlier, and they will be having another webinar at 6. So they were done this time by 10 till 7, but I just don't want to chance it.
Okay, so 7:15 next week, guys. We'll do it again. Thank you guys so much. Good to see you. If you guys want to chat, I think you're going to take off, Dana?
I am. Unless you want to stay on, I can leave you on.
Okay, if you just to see if anybody has any questions, and then I'll let you know.
Do you want me to stop recording now?
Sure.
Okay. Do I know how to stop recording? I don't know. Oh, here we go.